4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see where we start this morning with the podcast, but I'm sure it's going to be fine. The water is boiled, as you can hear, and we are going to get started. Hey, I appreciate the plus 100s. I don't know who's watching, but thank you for dropping by immediately at the start and giving me the love and support. I really do appreciate that. I'm going to turn off the sound so we don't have an echo. Walking can change your life for better or worse. That's what we're going to talk about today. How's that for a hook to keep you hooked for the entire podcast? I hope that works. I probably need to kick this off with a little bit of a story, because apparently stories work better than facts, even though I find facts relatively compelling when it comes to general health and fitness. But for those of you who are watching, before we dive into the story, my name is Toby. I am 41 years old and I'm training to live a healthy, self-sufficient and active life. Not only now, but well into my 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, maybe. Who knows? Might even live to be 100. Would be nice if I was as spry, vital, and bright as I am today at 41, right? And the reason I'm so focused on this is that I've understood that life expectancy might be increasing, but together with that increased life expectancy, we are also receiving many more years spent in disease and discomfort. And it turns out that some of those diseases and discomforts can actually be prevented through lifestyle changes such as sleep schedule, nutrition, exercise, connections with other people and with communities, and hobbies and mastery. So here we are. What am I going to do? Am I going to keep chugging along the way I'm chugging along at 33, or am I going to make a change? Now, I'm just joking. At 33, the only objective I had was to get a six-pack, get big, look lean and ripped for my wedding so that my wife would think that I was really hot, which I succeeded at because we're still happily married, and the wedding pictures and the holiday pictures, the honeymoon pictures are still really good. But not long after that, I realized, specifically after having children, that, hey, YouTube punk, thanks for dropping by, and good luck cleaning. I hope you're doing well over in Texas while we talk about health and fitness this morning, and I appreciate you dropping by. Was that you with the hearts and the plus 100s before? Let me know. But shortly after that, when we had children, I realized that health and fitness was not a given. It was something that I actually had to work for, because everything that I had built up before we got married, I lost shortly after because COVID and kids. And the only thing I could really do was walk, and I went for a long walk, so I stayed lean, but I lost a lot of muscle mass. And the road back to, solid health and fitness, combining strength, mobility, conditioning, has been interesting. So that's story number one, right? We can live long and healthy and happy and fulfilling and active lives if we're mindful of the lifestyle we adopt and the changes that we maybe need to make today or start making today to reap some benefit from in the future, let's say 10, 20 years from now, because a lot of these health problems are slumbering, right? And then once they flare up, I think sometimes they say your first rub with cardiovascular disease is usually ends in your demise. I'd like to, if that is the case, extend it to beyond my 80th birthday, if at all possible, right? I'd like to think that I'm not even halfway through this thing called life yet. But same, you get diabetes, you get pre-diabetes, maybe you have some signs before, and then some markers before, and then obviously the disease develops, diabetes type 2, talking about not type 1. Those kinds of things. Medication for blood pressure, frailty, right? These are all things that we can maybe delay the onset of or prevent altogether, depending on the lifestyle choices we're able to make. So that's why I find this important. Now, if that's something you're interested in, you go ahead, hit like, because the more likes we get on the channel, on the stream, the more people might find it. So that would be really helpful. And, say something in chat, say hi, say hey, let me know you're watching, ask a question. I'd be happy to answer it. And go over to my channel, check it out, and hit subscribe. I stream workouts every morning. I record podcasts every morning. Then I go out for a walk. It's going to be a 30-minute walk, and I have a surprise for my walk because it finally arrived. Look at that beauty. This is 10 kilos right now. I took 10 kilos of weights out of it. So my walking experience is going to be on a whole new level from now on. And I put on the 20 kilo yesterday, and I realized that 7 years ago I was wearing that as excess body weight. That was quite a realization, because that is heavy, seriously heavy, 20 kilos. I went from 101 to 78 kilos, all right, 77 and a half at one point. And then I put it back on. I've been hovering around 85 for the last 2-3 years, a bit more, a bit less, but generally settled in around 85, which seems to work for me. Today's training we're going to talk about. Then we're going to talk about walking, and then we're going to talk about one small change. We've got a couple of minutes to do that, because then I want to be out the door for a walk, and it is raining, so I might get that walk in between showers. Who knows? So today's training was full body kettlebell strength and conditioning. I actually picked up a 12 kilo and an 8 kilo today. So progressing from the 8 kilo, I felt confident enough to give that a try. My body seems to be allowing it. It seems to be recovering and moving in the right direction. So I'm happy about that. I'm not going to go beyond 12 kilos yet, but the extra 4 kilos, I think, will help. And I'm also going to start a specific conditioning program for the next 4 weeks, because we're going to be hiking in the mountains for a while over summer. And I want to actually be fit, not only fit enough to carry my 20 kilo son on my back, hence the weighted vest, but also be fit enough to go up and down, traverse mountains. So I need some strength conditioning in those big leg and back and core muscles to do that. So that's what we're working towards for the next 4 weeks, and we'll get there. And that is good news, YouTube Punk, and I appreciate you being concerned about me. I'm also very happy about the fact that that is moving in the right direction. I got very lucky. And for those of you who don't know, I injured my back while doing a kettlebell clean with a 20 kilo a while back, and that put me out of commission. But on the bright side of that, it put me on a trajectory for walking, and I've learned a lot about walking and the impact of walking on my general health and fitness, which is what we're going to talk about in a moment. So today's training, strength and conditioning, was fun, was good. I got quite a bit out of it. I think the general gist and takeaway is that my body is recovering and doing well, and that I'm still fit and strong, and that we want to keep that up from 41 to 42. So let's make fit at 42 a thing, shall we? Let's talk about walking, because walking is so accessible, so low impact, yet so effective if you understand different training modalities, that it is maybe something that is the easiest way to start incorporating into a daily routine to see relatively quick health and fitness benefits over time. For me, story time, right? When I injured my back, I had injured my neck a bit over a year ago and developed a neck herniation, and I couldn't lift the weights. And that was really dispiriting, and for 4 weeks or something I actually didn't really do a lot, and I immediately noticed it in weight gain, in energy levels, in focus, but also in outlook on life. It was really hard at that time. But I recovered from that well, got back on track, everything has been going fine ever since. But then this year I injured my back, right? And maybe there's a lesson in me for here about injuries and injury prevention somewhere. I injured my back doing an exercise. Said hi back, thanks for dropping by and saying hi. I appreciate you saying hi, and I hope you're doing well where you're at in the world. And I appreciate you dropping by and the stream and the podcast recording. I decided immediately the next day to go out for walks, and it was partially because of the memories I had from what happened a year before, but in part given in by the fact that when I lay still or sat still, my muscles would get really stiff and cramp up almost. But when I was moving, they actually felt relaxed and functional, and I could actually stand up without pain, stand upright, and walk and move pain-free. I couldn't move very fast, but I could move. So I immediately started walking, and I kept on walking. And actually that now became a habit, I think. What is it, 2 months later? That is very hard to kick. And one of the reasons that it's very hard to kick is because I've noticed two things in my own health fitness. First of all, I lost weight over those 2 weeks. I didn't eat particularly differently, but apparently the 1 to 2 to maybe 3 hours of walking that I was doing in a day was sufficiently impacting my energy balance, or the energy usage part of that balance, but in a way that didn't leave me hungry. You know, that feeling like if you've been running, when I go for a 10-kilometer run, right, 6 hours later, I want to eat. It's just a thing. I just feel hungry. My body demands fuel. I feel like I need to top up, and I eat a lot more than I usually would on a day. But with walking, I didn't have that experience actually. I was able to maintain my regular eating schedule quite well. And I think I can't read what that says, but if that means thanks for dropping by and saying hi and goodbye, then thanks for having dropped by and said hi. Where was I? So I was able to maintain my eating schedule really well, but I still lost weight because I didn't feel the need to eat more at the end of the day. So relatively low impact, but in terms of energy output, apparently I moved the needle. And this wasn't 30 minutes of walking, right? This was a good 2 to 3, sometimes 4 hours of movement in a day. And given by the fact that if I sat still too long, it would hurt, there was a lot of movement throughout the day. Then I realized when I went back to running that I'd gotten fitter. In fact, I'd gotten so much fitter that I ran 9.5 kilometers in 59 minutes a while back. And the insight there is that, well, what had I been doing? I hadn't been training running. I hadn't been training kettlebell to the degree that I would expect my fitness to my overall cardiovascular ability to improve so dramatically. But what I had been doing was going for these 45, 60-minute walks where my heart rate was in the lower ranges of zone 2, right? So I was pushing myself. I was able to keep a conversation going with myself. But I wasn't draining myself, and apparently that had a significant impact on my ability to perform at higher levels, because, so I went to this training coach online, Steve Magnus, and I looked at a couple of his videos. is by training in that modality, I was laying the foundation for more intense work, and I was laying the foundation really well and really solidly. I was making my mitochondria a bit more effective and efficient. So simply by walking, by force, not by choice, but now it is by choice, I improved my general health and capabilities. Okay? So we can walk in different ways. We can walk leisurely, just a stroll. Probably your heart rate stays within zone 1. That's completely fine. That's already movement. It's better than standing still. Then there is walking at a slightly increased pace, so trying to hit that zone 2, where it is noticeable that I'm moving, but it is also noticeable that I'm not wearing myself out, and that's a pace that you can maintain for a relatively long time, for a relatively long stretch. I think that's zone 80, right? Or are they from the 90s, Bangles? I think it's 89 or something. Or was it 91? Anyway, so walking in that zone 2. But then there's also different modalities like walking uphill or walking downhill, right? You can play with that, because then suddenly walking uphill is also a bit of strength training incorporated into that, right? It's a lot harder to walk uphill, but also controlledly walking downhill, managing that pace. You can do intervals. You can walk really slow at a leisurely pace, and then every 5 minutes for 1 minute, just increase the pace, right? To where you feel you're walking a bit faster, and then slow down again and continue walking. There's a lot of different things that you can do just by walking that are going to have a tremendous impact on your general health and fitness. So for me, it's been helpful. Maybe there's something in that insight for you. So what's one small change that we can make in our day-to-day that is going to help us stay fit and healthy for life and for living? To wrap this up, right? One small change in our daily activity. You know, we've already done the stairs, for example. We've already incorporated a little walk, for an example. The next time you do groceries, yeah, or you need to go to the store, you have canvas bags that you can carry on one hand. So try to walk with the canvas bag with the groceries, one hand, barring that it's not too heavy. You can take 2, then it becomes a farmer's walk. If it comes from one side, it's more of a loaded carry. But by carrying it in one hand, you are forcing your body to correct itself and holding itself upright. And I think that doing that once or twice a week on your way from the grocery store back home might help. You know, you get a little bit of core training in and a little bit of core stability in through your regular day-to-day. I go to work, I have a little briefcase that weighs about 2.5, 3 kilos with a laptop and everything in it. And I switch hands with it as I walk. 1 minute one hand, 1 minute in the other hand. And it's only 3 kilos, but it is just that little bit of pull to one side that my body needs to correct for. And it's just a little bit of additional training that we can sneak in. And by the way, you heard me say walk to the grocery store. If you drive there, maybe walk around the parking lot once or twice before going back to your car, or once or twice before going into the grocery store and then into the car. But whatever you're walking, just with that bag in one hand, 1 minute, and then 1 minute in the other hand, and see what happens. Friends, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for dropping by, saying hi. I hope you're doing well. Remember to hit like, subscribe. Thanks for letting me know you're watching YouTube Punk, and I cannot pronounce your name, but I appreciate you dropping by and saying hi. Remember, we're good just the way we are. We've got to love ourselves before we can move on. It's the person we are today who's going to get us to where we want to be tomorrow. It's a bit of kindness going to go a long way, right? There are enough people out there who want to put us down. We lift ourselves up And the only way to get anything done, friend, is by showing up and doing the work. So I will see you tomorrow. And Yujabunk, I hope that cleaning is getting done and that you get a good night's sleep after. Be well, and remember, subscribe. Take care, friends.